good morning and welcome to Coffee with Kevin. Go ahead, call me stupid, call me dumb, type it in the comments again. It doesn't matter. It still doesn't change the ruling. The Supreme Court and the President did not have authority under the emergency law to impose sweeping global tariffs. 6-3. That's the ruling by the Supreme Court. That's not spin. That's not vibes. That's the decision. You can argue whether tariffs are good or bad, but you don't get to pretend constitutional limits disappear because your guy hit a stop sign. I'm not defending a party. I'm defending guardrails. The guardrails held. Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Kevin. On Friday, the Supreme Court ruled that the President did not have authority under the International Emergency Economics Powers Act to impose sweeping global tariffs the way he did. That is not spin, that is the statutory limit. Yes, new limits were imposed under a different law within hours. I said that yesterday, and since then, they've been adjusted upwards to the statutory limit. They cannot go beyond that. That's part of the evolving story. But here's what stuck with me. A number of comments rolled in calling me stupid, dumb, biased, a liar. Some insisted the tariffs are back, as if that somehow disproved the court's ruling. It doesn't. The court didn't outlaw tariffs. The court said Donald Trump cannot use that statute as a blank check. It imposed limits on his presidential authority. If someone wants to argue policy, let's argue policy. If someone wants to argue constitutional authority, let's argue constitutional authority. But shouting insults does not change what the court ruled. Here's why this matters. Congress controls taxation. Tariffs are taxes. The Constitution does not give any president unlimited authority to bypass that structure under the banner of emergency. And this wasn't just Democrats saying so. Senator Rand Paul said the Constitution clearly gives Congress the power to tax, and the tariffs are taxes. I'm glad to see the court reaffirmed that principle. Senator Mike Lee from Utah added, separation of powers matters. Congress writes the laws, and the executive must operate within them. Those are Republican senators defending constitutional guardrails. This ruling was not about liking or disliking tariffs. It was about whether executive power has limits. On a railroad, when a red signal lights up, it does not mean the train never moves again. It means you do not move under those conditions on that track at that time. You respect the signal, you adjust lawfully, or you risk a wreck, injury, and death. The Supreme Court threw a red signal on the IEEPA. That's it. That guardrail held. And if defending constitutional structure makes some people uncomfortable, you know what? I can live with that. And if you want to continue this conversation about constitutional guardrails and real representation, join us Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. on Coffee with Democrats. We'll be joined by Booker T. Newton, who is running for state senate in District 32 out of Lawton, Oklahoma. Booker T. is a retired first sergeant, a husband, father, and grandfather who has spent his life in service to this country and his community. He's running to address the rising cost of living, supporting veterans, and expanding access to health care, advocate for teachers, and demand accountability from elected officials. And that's Tuesday at 7 p.m. As we go down the track of another day, let's keep that conversation rolling.